Welcome to today's episode of the Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast. We've got Mel. We decided on a fist bump.
Yep.
Because I was going to lose the dance off.
Yeah.
But at some point, apparently, I have to include some videoing of me dancing in this podcast.
Yep. It's a must.
It's not what this is about, though. We're in your garden.
We are.
I wanted to come here because you are would the word master, expert,
Subject matter expert,
probably,
enthusiast,
in a niche of the industry, probably.
definitely.
But that's what, in a good way.
Yeah, yeah.
About stuff that I know very little about, but I really like. And I don't even know how I found your stuff, but you were taking some pretty photos. You're like, you're a little bit like a drug dealer.
I am.
What you do is you give that little bit of free hit, and then all of a sudden we start getting hooked. But what I mean by that is you have these photos of these beautiful, all these insects, bees, whatever. And you're like, oh, that's a really pretty photo and a close-up of angle or something. And then you start describing it like, oh, I feel like I learnt something. And then in the back door, she comes with a baseball bat and smacks you over the head with like, here's how this is good for the environment. A little bit like how Steve Irwin did it, where we were like, oh, we're just watching the show because we like the animals. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, we should probably not do stupid things to kill them.
Yeah.
And your channel's called Rewilding Suburbia.
It is.
And that's my introduction. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. I'm happy to have you here. I love talking about stuff that I'm obsessed with.
Yes. Now, I love your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you.
For everybody, it says, I can't understand the first word because flower.
Funk lawn.
Funk. Oh, okay.
Funk.
Yes.
Yeah, a flower, blue-banded bee.
Blue banded.
Yeah, of course. Funk lawn.
So, obviously, very supportive of the whole idea. And I'm in my business shirt because I do lawns. So we're going to fight.
Yeah.
Arm wrestle later on. Because I'm an evil person in a certain aspect of the...
Maybe.
To a certain group of people. Because that's my love is not necessarily lawns for the sake of lawns, but I do really like lawn. And I like garden. I like everything in garden. And you have a different perspective.
I do.
What's your perspective?
On lawns or gardening in
Everything.
general? In general. I think that our gardens should be an extension of our environment, not necessarily just the old school pretty standard. I think we're moving away from that, especially in Perth. Perth is hot for starters. It's very hot. To be able to maintain a lawn in that environment, like this is just one reason for lawn, not anti-lawn, but I think it's a waste of resources and water for those perfectly manicured lawns. Obviously I have lawn, you could probably see that.
Looks pretty good.
It does look pretty good, but I don't spend hours watering it, applying chemicals and whatnot to it. It's all because of the rest of my garden, and it does have its purpose, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But I think that we could use our garden spaces and urban spaces so much better than just some perfect pitch of lawn that doesn't really get much use, and it doesn't provide a lot either. So
I guess it sounds like it's what I've seen from your stuff and the little conversation we had before. It's like you don't start with a hatred of like grass.
No.
It's like you really like and enjoy what these other plants can bring.
Definitely.
Is it that you feel like almost someone who just has a plain lawn is missing out on something as well?
A conscience.
And a moral compass.
Sorry, did I say that out loud? No.
How dare you?
I don't think they're missing out. I just, I'm in, like you go on Facebook or whatever, I'm in all those lawn groups. I'm there, I'm stalking, I like...
Judging,
no,
critical eye.
No, not necessarily, but sometimes you'll see something, armyworm is a big one that pops up a lot, which you would know. They're like, oh, these wasps are digging in my lawn and I've got these things. I'm like, yeah, those wasps are digging in your lawn because they are going to find that armyworm, take them back into that hole, bury them, lay their eggs inside them. Like, yeah, you might see it as damage, but they're actually taking care of it for you. And I hate that, oh, what do I need to do? And same with beetles, don't get me started on beetles. oh, yes, they eat roots and stuff, but you don't need to get rid of them. You can relocate them somewhere else. Have a compost bin, like put them somewhere else if you think that they are damaging your lawn I just don't understand. There's a lot for just aesthetics, and that's what, like, you can go look at my lawn, there's patches and stuff everywhere for whatever reason, different reasons, damage, if you will. But I think perspective is a big thing. Also, the idea of not just lawn gardening in general, perspective. The idea of perfect, I think, needs to be challenged as well. And then channeling that into its purpose. So I think that's where I'm at, and I like to challenge other people's views of that. So perspective. What did I say? Perspective.
Perfect.
Perfect. And
Pepsi Max.
Pepsi Max.
That's the 3
yes.
Ps,
Yes. Yeah, purpose. So I can see the purpose in things. I can see like that bit of bare patch in my lawn right there. I know the purpose of that. I've had like native bees nesting there. Like I see the purpose, and to me that changes my idea of beautiful. Like that's amazing. Like, do I really want to interfere with that?
Yeah.
For the idea, like for that pretty perspective of, oh, look at my lawn, and you know, you have competitions with your mates down the road. Like, I don't care about that.
You feel like it's ego driven almost.
Isn't it?
Some, yeah.
My dad's, sorry Dad if you're watching, my dad's a lawnie, right?
Yeah.
So if his neighbour mows his lawn, Dad mows his.
Yeah.
If his neighbour like literally like pressure washes the driveway, Dad does his.
Right, yeah.
So
I've seen that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I grew up with that, and like we weren't allowed to have a dog as a kid because it would ruin the lawn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think...
I see that mindset, like, it does exist.
It does exist. I'm not saying it's everyone that has a lawn.
No, it definitely does exist. And you always get like there's
extremists.
Yeah, and the extremists are for everyone.
Yeah,
I was talking to somebody about vegans the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you got rid of the 10% of the most judgmental vocal vegans, people would feel so much more fond of the idea.
It is. It's anyone that pushes anything onto you. You know, when you start getting into politics, religion, stuff like lifestyle like that, it's when it's pushed on you and you're judged for whatever other reason. Like, I think.
When I told you about, like, do you feel like they're missing out on something? Because the thing that was coming to my mind is, well, two things. One thing that came up. My previous house. I don't know if it ever showed you the photos.
No, I don't think so.
So, because I haven't been there for a while, but we had the most beautiful lawn. Mm-hmm. But I had a small fence, very similar to yours.
Yeah.
And I was on a corner block.
Yeah.
And there was about 300 square meters of verge, and we didn't ever touch it. I just let it die, and so I cut it down, because my ethos was the opposite of, like, I don't like the idea of putting resources just to show off, because I cannot see that from my house.
Yeah.
Whereas when I had my little fence, we would play out all the time. But I had a very similar amount of garden bed around the edge, and that was... For me, a lawn in itself was not interesting enough.
It's not.
But we would play cricket on it. We had a dog, all that sort of stuff. With Kelpie, we still have the Kelpie, but
see, that's your purpose. If you can find the purpose of something in your garden, like the purpose of mine is, I don't like to wear, like, I want soft ground under feet. I want cooling. Like, this whole area was paved only like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yes.
So cooling is a big thing for me, and I needed something that wasn't going. That I didn't have to like top up regularly, like mulch, like you have to like continuously look after that, and that's not great on the feet sometimes with splinters.
No, it's not.
And I'm not into like rocks and pebbles, especially, you know, having.
They're not good on the feet either.
They're not,
well,
but
pebbles
and
are,
but there's that heat, and then having a small child and a dog, absolutely not.
Yes.
So I can see in my yard, I can see the purpose, but I'm not scared to let mine flower. That's where I like having conversations with people, because I see the value in letting it flower. You're going to attract so many things to that. Like, I'm not anal about it. It's just, it is what it is. And if there's a hole, great. If not, then cool. But I water my veggie patch anyway.
Yes.
So it's not like I'm spending extra resources into my lawn. It's all done at the same time.
Well,
anyway.
I see for me, like, I had so much fun. I used to have a veggie patch many years ago, and then my dog end up eating the produce.
Mine does the same.
Yeah, exactly.
She has no access to this without me.
Because I was, I didn't have the time to go full bore, but I was like, I eat a lot of cherry tomatoes and I like spinach.
Yeah.
Right, and then obviously like zucchinis are like the easiest thing to grow at all. So like if you just have those three, it's like sweet, cool, I'm happy with that. She wouldn't eat the zucchinis, but she would eat all the bloody tomatoes. And then the amount of water you need for spinach and stuff, it's like, it got to the point where I just gave up on that section.
Yeah.
It's also a slightly difficult spot. I would love to get a veggie patch in the future.
Yeah.
But I loved being out there. So we had some roses that were there just from the past. And just being like, I'm just going to go prune some roses.
Yeah.
And like not a full prune, just I'm going to deadhead some stuff. And as I'm doing that, that's actually what I was like, what the heck is this little thing? And then you look at this little bug and I, Google it and like, that's a ladybird nymph?
That is very much how I got into, I'm not going to go insects, I'm going to go invertebrates because they're not just insects. So that's having the paved front, and my backyard was paved as well. The first thing, like I dreamt of having, like I had those Pinterest boards with, this food forest and I'm going to create this one day, because I used to be FIFO, so I couldn't really have all that. And I tried, but you go away for 2 weeks and your zucchini's this big, like you can't look after it properly. So that's what I really wanted to create, like this food forest, because I love the idea of just going out and picking something to eat, and it challenges the way you cook food and grow things. Like I love that. So that was where I started gardening, really. And I can't say that I grew up like always like being like into bugs, and like I had no idea. And like I said to you before, like if you scroll back on my Instagram far enough, you will literally see the transition, like of where I was just posting like, oh, I grew this, look at my zucchini or my harvest or whatever. And then I'll be like, oh, what's this bug? And so going from paved to introducing food, and straight away, I think, my first lot of food was all winter veg, so brassicas pretty much. I'm just like, I'm just going to grow a million brassicas.
Cabbages and...
Straight away, monoculture though. So I created, and because previously there was nothing, so all these like cabbage whites and all these pests moved straight in, and they're like, well, this is great, this is new, like there's no predators here. We can really kind of establish here. And I was losing like everything. I think I even shared something this morning. It's like this like brassica that was just like eaten to the stems. And I think that straight away you're like, oh, well, I really wanted to grow this and it failed because I have all these pests. And what am I going to do about it? So... Chemicals.
And you were saying before that your background is as a wog.
my choice of wording. Yeah.
The most endearing way of saying it is there is a careless nature to some people who use chemicals and throwing it down and
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just what's worked for them for generation after generation.
Did you just follow that path because that's what you knew at the time?
No, because when you see I can't even remember what the kind of pest was. Let's just use cabbage whites, for example. That would have been one of the first ones.
Which is those little butterflies?
Those white butterflies that are notorious for just eating green.
You used to try and catch them as a kid.
Yeah, and you'll probably see a few come around later. But so they eat like your brassica leaves. So I'm like, oh, well, how do I get rid of them? But I still wanted to be like organic, if you will. So I went down that road, and you look at BT or dipole, what's it made from? It's some kind of fungi thing, isn't it? Like it's a natural thing.
I don't know what it's made from, but I've heard people talk about it.
It is something natural. I think it's just some kind of...
We talked about with the guy that we had on the podcast.
So I went down that road because it's organic and it's not going to hurt like everything else. It just targets caterpillars. So the way that you use it, you just spray it on the leaves, and then you got to do it every couple of weeks or something. The caterpillar consumes the leaf that has that on there, and it's what is it? It's something like it stops them from eating or whatever, and they just eventually die. Yeah, that's cool. I'm like, okay, I'll try that. I'm not very good with doing things regularly. So you tell me, oh, you got to do it every 2 weeks. I'll do it once and I'll forget. So out of sheer laziness, I just left them.
Yeah.
And but that's when I started to discover natural predatory insects and biocontrol. You leave them long enough, a predator will come, because it'll be exactly the same way that they moved in. They'll go, oh, a food source or whatever it might be. There's no predators, I'm coming in. And then there's the same way with the parasitic wasps. They went, oh,
that's my lunch now.
Yeah, that's their host. That's what they lay their eggs in. They need those to breed. So they come in and they do that. But over time, I've just watched it happen, and I don't have that. I'm a little disappointed I don't get them so much anymore, because I want to film them. I didn't.
So you're disappointed that you don't get what we would class as pests.
Well, it's not pests. It's a ecosystem imbalance.
And that's why I said what we would class as pests.
Yeah. So anything in large numbers, when it's out of balance, of course it could be seen as a pest. But now I am kind of disappointed, because I didn't film things the way that I have some crappy footage, but it's not the same. I've definitely upped my skills.
Your footage is nuts.
I'm a little obsessed.
Yeah, I feel like I was telling you before, how do you get these shots, and you just, I don't know, it's second nature now.
Seriously, some people just honestly think that I take a lot of time, and sometimes I'm just literally watering, oh, I see something, and I do it in the other hand. I'm just ready. I'm just always ready.
Stop showing off, right?
Yeah. I think I have an eye for it, but I just became obsessed with knowing the role that anything in my garden plays with something else, whether it be with another insect, or because there's insects that take care of other insects, or they look after fungus or pathogens. I just became obsessed with knowing what their role was in my, not necessarily in my garden, because I can talk about my garden. I can show people as well, so that's what I love. People, when you get into gardening, you see, oh, if you leave the aphids, the wasps will come, or the ladybug will come. But people just oh, I'm not going to wait that long. How long does it take? I can tell you how long it takes. I can show you how long it takes, because I watch that like crazy. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it's weeks.
Yeah.
So I like that I've been able to expose people. One, that I've been able to learn so much from my own gardening just by being observant. My garden is now resilient to some extent. Obviously, you're always going to get new things in and out, and different variables where you get pests or whatnot.
Yeah.
Weather and rain or lack of.
What is rain? I've forgotten.
So have I.
I mean, there was this thing that came from the sky the other week.
Oh.
But it was the first time we'd had it in months, and I don't know I forgot what it was.
Couldn't tell you, blink and you miss it. But yeah, and if I could be the one to show people, they'd be like, no, I'm not an ecologist, I'm not a horticulturalist, I'm not anything. I just like you, who wanted a garden, and I was observant, and now I'm going to show you that.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to come in, because most people, they like. Here's my understanding, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody who likes any sort of plant, there's some fundamental love of nature there, right? Yeah. And you get some people who are super into it, and they become biologists, and they become whatever. They go down that path.
Yeah.
And there's some people who it's just they like walking outdoors on trails or whatever, but their understanding is very small.
Yeah.
And when somebody like you comes and puts it, there's like I said, where you get us with the pretty photo and the interesting video, and then you come through the back door with a sledgehammer to our head, and that's how you get us,
Yeah.
But it's most people, I actually think, and what I want to do with this kind of podcast is have people from different perspectives, because I actually think that there's some people who are lawn lovers out there, some people who are even got astroturf. Even though they should be permanently disbarred from the society itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should have, they should wear goggles.
Yeah.
Aren't
they wearing goggles? They're wearing blinkers, mate.
I was thinking like the Snapchat filter where everyone frowns.
Yeah.
They have to wear these things where everyone frowns at them automatically.
Yeah.
No, that's a joke. But even people like that, I know people who made that decision to go with grass, astroturf, because they thought it was environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a decision that they made because they hated the environment. It's that no one told them that, hey, if you plant this stuff, you'll attract these kinds of insects. And they go, oh, okay, I just went to Bunnings.
And that's it. You've got to go back to perspective.
But nobody knows, and they're busy because they're accountants and school teachers, and they're doing their life. And these people on this side of the spectrum who love nature, but don't necessarily have the time or whatever, a channel like yours, this is why it's great, because they go, oh, I like pretty pictures. Like,
follow. Love a pretty picture. But this is what started my love. Like, I've always appreciated nature, whatever, but this is what like really hooked me in was my own garden. And like, so it started with food, and then I went native and habitat and gone a bit crazy, as you do. That's just the way I'm wired.
You're not crazy.
I spiral hard.
A lot of people do that. Like, they find a hobby and then they go, no, I like this. And they go further, like, no, actually, I really like this. And then all of a sudden it's like...
And then like, you're yelling to the world, everyone else should like this too.
And only 3 people can relate because no one else has gone as hard down that specific route as you.
But imagine, like, and now, in a way, it's turned me into like a conservationist. Like, because I'm going with the natives and the habitat, and I'm looking at what local bushland is up the road for me and go, oh, okay, yeah, like just you go a couple streets up and there's like bush all alongside the main road. Okay, cool, what plants have they got there? How can I put that over here to bring in what's, like, how can I help that area here? Like, why not? Like, like I got 78 squares out the front of my verge. Like, it used to just be like cooch, kaku, weeds, like it was just.
Yeah, and not the nice cooch, kaku.
No.
Not being used. But it comes back to the conversation I was saying before. I wouldn't have, if this was my property, I wouldn't be putting lawn there. It's on a hill. No one's going to enjoy it. No. I can't see it from the house.
Exactly.
I'm just going to be wasting water. Right. And I feel like a lot of people are in the same kind of, this is what I'm getting at. Like, they actually want to know if they knew, oh, hold on a second. So I learned this recently, right? It wasn't your channel, but it was not long before your channel. There's a lady, and I'm forgetting her name, over east, who gets rid of, relocates some ground nesting bees. I'm forgetting her name. You would know who she is, over in Queensland, and she's blonde. This is my best description. And so she was pulling out these stingless bees.
Oh yeah.
And they're in these
Ocean.
Yes. What's her
Can't think of it, but I know her name. Ocean.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still can't think. I know we can't. I want to give her credit.
No, I can't think of it either, but I don't want to get it wrong because there is a lot of.
Is this her business or something that she goes around and?
Yeah. And then I've got other friends who she takes those. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she takes them and then like has hives and whatnot, and then puts them, like fosters them into other people's yards and stuff.
Yes, so she's taken them out of, say, like a gas mains box underneath the ground or something, where they found a great spot for them to nest, but it's not great for the services and something. And I was like, what the heck are these things?
Yeah, we don't have them here, unfortunately.
And I've never seen them before. And she's just gone in there barehanded. I'm like, what the heck? And so then it wasn't long after that, months after that, I came across your stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know that those types of bees existed. I knew what a blue-banded bee was. Yeah, because
I feel like everyone's kind of like gateway bee. They're the little rock stars, and people are getting to know more and more about them. But like, I didn't know half of them either. And even now I'll find like new things. I'm like, oh, what's this species? I need to know. And that's not just necessarily bees, that's flies and wasps and anything. I'm like, what is this? There are so many things. I'm like, how did I not know this exists? You know, I'm 37. Like, where were these things in my childhood? They're obviously there.
No, you weren't paying attention.
I wasn't. I bloody am now.
You'd find the butterfly.
Because you watch, if something goes past your head, you've seen me. Like,
I've actually been looking at the bees.
Oh yeah, hope you're not allergic to honeybees, but
no, I'm not.
But yeah, now that I see things, I can't unsee them, and I need to know more.
Well, this will blow some people's minds. You had Freya on.
Yeah.
And so I would have said a year and a half ago, I can't remember when I found this lady's channel, I would have said, if you had told me there was 15 varieties of bees, I would have been like, yeah, okay. If you said there's 50, I would have been like, wow, 50 varieties of bees. Do you remember off the top of my head? She said it the other day.
How many in Australia?
How many native bee species are in Australia?
Described, there's 1,700 and something, but undescribed, you're looking more about 2,000.
2,000? And that's what I'm getting at. It would have been like 15 sounded right to me.
I wish I could tell you how many species off the top of my head I've had in my garden. Probably close to 30.
In your garden?
Yeah, in my garden.
That you've documented. I've
documented. iNaturalist, I highly recommend.
Yeah, this is this. Okay, let's stay over here. This is an app I didn't know existed until I listened to your podcast with Sam.
Yeah, and he didn't know.
I'm like, what the heck is this thing?
Yes.
So tell me about it.
I really should have Googled exactly what it is, but it's pretty much a whole database, and it's all across the whole world.
Yep.
I use it like citizen science. I use it to track what I find in my garden, pretty much, and then like scientists and ecologists and relevant people are all on there. But it's not just insects; it's anything living. So like underwater stuff or trees, plants, whatever. And yeah, it's just a great way that it can be recorded. Like you can't it's physically impossible to record plants and animals like for anyone all over the world. But this is just like citizen scientists, really. They're just going, oh yeah, this is in my garden, or this is a pest, or it's a whatever it might be. And then we're like, oh no, that's this. And they go, oh okay, well that's that. I just said, like, I found like a fly, and I'm like, oh, what's this fly? And then I realised I'm getting into flies now. This is
a new thing, is it?
Yeah. I got to slowly just pick one thing at a time. But you know, like the green stink bugs, vegetable stink bugs, they're very common, and they don't seem to have any predators. Well, they do, and it's a fly, and they lay like 1 million eggs on them, and then obviously, you know, they eat them from the inside and whatever. But it was a fly. So
okay.
There's so many things, but there are lots of parasitoids are my new favorite. People are like, oh, you love bees? Yes, I love bees, but they're for cuteness. But if you want to go, what I love the most is wasps. Wasps are the best, and it's the European introduced wasps that give everyone
the ones that sting you bad.
But there's I think it's like 20,000 wasps in Australia.
There we go. So this is what I'm getting back to. Where I'm like, again, if you said wasps, I would have been like, I only know one.
Paper wasp.
There must be.
European paper wasp.
There must be more, but maybe 10.
Yeah, and some of them are like the size of like a pinprick. And I like finding those ones.
Well, I only first started hearing about more wasps when I was doing research on how to control white wax scale.
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so there is, parasites. Yeah. And you can buy them.
You can buy them. So, yeah, biological control is definitely something you can introduce into your garden if you're not willing to wait. I was willing to wait. I'm patient. I like observing. But, yeah, you can buy them commercially. A lot of predatory insects and stuff.
So there's a website for people who are not aware called Bugs for Bugs. There's another one.
There is another one. I think there's also a WA one as well. I can't think. But Bugs for Bugs is the main one that you'll probably come up a lot.
And, I found out this because I found some really helpful sheets, PDF documents on how to control insects. And it was made for nurseries. And basically what there was, I think it was from Grow Help, which is like a nursery body. And they basically went through, here's all your chemical solutions. Don't go there first.
Here's all your
biological and your cultural practices. So your cultural practices in a nursery situation would be like, okay, you've got this insect. Let's separate your pots a little bit further so they can't travel. Let's do this. And their process, which is something that I really appreciated, was like, here's the lowest hanging fruit. And then when you get to a point where, because this is obviously people's commercial thing.
Yeah.
If it was in your garden, you wouldn't need to. Okay, once you've done those things, then we can look at the chemical solution, but you probably don't need to. And to be able to buy bugs, coming back to what you were saying about armyworm. So I put up a story, and I had a single armyworm, and you were
like a ninja.
You got your samurai sword out, and you were throwing those
one
little
armyworm's not going to kill anyone or a lawn.
I squished it. See, he's barking at the armyworms. She, I've said that multiple times.
Anti-kill.
Just because they're so big dogs, you just think that they're all tough boys. What was I going? Oh, yeah, the armyworm. And you said, never heard about this, that there was this wasp that went for them. And straight away I was like, how do we buy them? You know what I mean? Like, because for my...
Well, that's it. You can't buy everything, though.
But we can try.
You don't have to. You leave them, they will come. That's one... I think I've said this a few times. One of the most common questions I get is, like when I show all like my parasitoids and whatnot, is, oh, what flowers can I plant to attract them? It's got nothing to do with the flowers. They breed inside other insects or whatever it might be. You need the host. They're not going to go there if you don't have what they need. And what they need is the host to lay their eggs in to reproduce. That's what they need. So you need to leave some. You don't need to leave all of them if you think it's going to damage your plant or whatever.
Yep.
If that's the case, exclusion netting, whatever. You don't need chemicals. You can exclude a million brassicas and leave one for all your aphids at the end. I am personally waiting for my aphids because I love watching them. Yeah.
You need content. You need mealybugs or whatever eating them.
It's funny. Yeah, the other day, like 2 days ago, because I'm always finding new things. Aphids have a lot of predators, about 5 or 6 that I can think of.
Well, they're like sitting ducks.
Yeah.
They're like juicy, can hardly move.
Yeah. But I found a new one, and it's a different type of fly, because hoverflies, I think, is a known one now. So I saw this little maggot. I'm like, this is a hoverfly. I'll just keep filming my wasp. But then later I looked at my videos. I'm like, oh, that one looks a little bit different, but it's a different type of fly, and it's not a hoverfly. It's in some other family, and they're known as like aphid flies. So
wow.
Blowing my mind. See, every day I'm like, oh, there's another predator. Who are you? What are you? That's awesome.
So what I actually thought of after your conversation about the thing is, because you were saying that, well, you need the host.
Yeah.
You have the host. And I was like, I wonder if what we should do is, for people who want that kind of service, we could just grow pots like what you've got over there, or say a 30 centimetre pot with lawn in it, and then you see the insects, throw them in the pot, because a armyworm would not be able to travel, you know, a couple of metres from a pot across some concrete.
Have you seen them come out at night time?
Where do they hide?
They're in the ground during the day. They come out at night time.
Oh, okay. I thought they were just...
No, because I get them in my garden beds and everything.
Yeah, I'm thinking like out the back or something like that.
They'll find it. How do you think they got in your yard?
No, I'm thinking you pick them up, put them in the pot as a sacrificial...
Oh, they'll come out.
Well, they just see, damn it. Well, this was what I was hoping for. I was hoping that you could...
see it?
Well, no, I was just saying, like, if you wanted to encourage them without damaging a certain area, if you could have a sacrificial area, which you didn't care about, and most people, like, if you just had a pot of grass that you let grow long, whatever, who cares, you know, somewhere in the backyard,
But then, do you have the nesting area for the wasp? People are like, what's this big...
But this is the process I was thinking of, because I know there's some people who, this is like the whole thing, like, again, you come back to, like, they put down AstroTurf because they didn't know.
Yeah.
They put down, so if you were like, oh, well, there's a nesting area, and then there's a sacrificial area.
Yeah.
I don't know, you put them next to each other, I don't know, this is why I'm trying to learn. And then you can go, well, maybe then you attract it, and there's a certain amount of bugs you can have in a healthy lawn that you know, to a keen eye, they'll go, no, there's a discoloration there, there's something there. But to the majority of my clients, they are not anal about, you know, we're more anal about, you know, the height of the cut and how it looks and everything like that, you know. And you really relate.
Aesthetic, yeah, I do. I can totally relate.
You know, but it's like, that's what we're hired for.
Yeah. Of course, but that's different.
They would go, if you were like, oh, here's 2 options.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a little bit more and take a bit more effort, but we can do something.
But that's what I would love to
chemical.
see from the lawn industry, is like you guys just obviously being more aware of things like that, and then pushing that onto your, well, not pushing it, but like at least suggesting it as an option to your client, and go, well, yeah, well, it might take a year or 2, but long term, because everything's short term solutions I see with like chemicals and stuff like that, they're just short term, and generally, like I said, for aesthetics. But long term solution, I would like to see that be pushed a lot more. But then it goes down to money as well, and it is your business. Not saying you, but you know, as a business owner, they're like, oh, well, I want the work.
Well, for us, because we're at a stage of business, because we've been around for almost 11 years now, like you can be a bit picky and choosy with what you do and don't take on. Yeah,
of course.
And we've been wanting to do some kind of, I've been thinking about this for about a year and a half. Like, how would you do, you couldn't do what you would call an organic package, but like a low input.
Ecological?
I don't know what you would call it, but
it's a healthy ecosystem. That's what it is. It's not organic. I wouldn't go organic because, you know, neem oil. Neem oil is organic too, but that's exactly the same as the BT. BT is organic, but you know, it doesn't target one caterpillar. It'll kill any caterpillar
Yes,
that eats
exactly.
it. So it's not organic. So I think what you're looking for is ecological gardening.
Well, I don't even know what you would, because the way I would approach it, right, is we had the compost, Sea-Wise to do the compost. Now we use their products for top dressing and stuff like that. They have a nice finely graded compost.
I've used that stuff.
What we have been thinking of doing is like, how do you make it competitive pricing wise? You would need probably like $20,000 top dressing machines and stuff. But instead of doing a normal fertilizer application, you would do a very light top dress on a regular level, and then you might need to supplement with, say, like irons and magnesiums and manganeses and things like that.
Do you?
It depends.
But like, it's possible.
It is possible.
Okay, I don't put, like, whatever goes in my veggie beds goes on here as well. So if it's good enough for me to eat, it's good enough for my grass. That's how I see it.
But it depends on where your starting point is and how much you're able to put down and what
Well, we put this lawn down and it wasn't very good.
No, yeah, and
it went straight on.
build up, and then over time you get some worms, and then it'll happen. But even those things, because there's a lot of products. Say like you would go down the kelp, or we had food to soil on who are taking food waste and making it into a fertilizer. And so options like that, where I wouldn't go down a fully organic route, because there is a certain point where the client wants that quick result. But you could go, hey, look, maybe this is more expensive, but we still get this level of result.
Yeah.
And they would go for that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like, my experience is that people who are more on your side of the really interested in that are not very business focused at all. They just do it for the love of it.
Okay, yes, for love. Doesn't mean they're not business minded, but it's passion that drives them and not money.
Yeah, which a lot of great,
I'm not saying you specifically,
most great business
yeah.
people, it is the passion that drives them, and then that's why they make a great product and then they get money from it, you know. But my mind goes straight to, well, if I could go and buy some of these armyworm wasps,
yeah,
and I had 10 habitats made, and I had something, I could just go to my client, here's two options, what do you want?
Yeah.
And if they go, well, it's $50 more for this or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the people we work for, they go, $50 is, oh, who cares? Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is somebody goes, oh, Luke's doing this thing.
Yeah.
And they're making money from it. Some people who don't care about the environment at all.
Yeah, but they see the money anyway.
They want the virtue signaling of, oh, look how green I am.
Yeah.
We'll go, I'm going to copy that.
Yeah.
And so that's where you start getting some, because you get the two incentives. You get the environmental incentive, which people do it out of the goodness of their heart, and then a financial one.
Of course, yeah.
And then you can go, look how cool we are.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do this cool little thing. But I'm just interested in it from that perspective. And
yeah, absolutely.
We've been tempted to go to Bugs to buy stuff before. And just...
Why haven't you?
Because we haven't really had a big enough issue, because we don't do large scale stuff anymore. And so you just kind of go, like you, oh, let's just wait. Yeah. Or like if I see aphids now on a rose, I'll just blast them off with a hose, and then eventually something's going to come.
How do you know you're not blasting off the predators?
Because I don't see the predators.
You need to open your eyes, and that's why I want to show people that. I think it might have been about a year ago. I have to dig it up, but I took a picture of like aphids, right? And I said, okay, well, can you see the predators? A lot of the time people can't, and then afterwards I'm like, this one. So yeah, you might like wipe them off or whatever, but the predators are already there, and you're going to kill them in the process too. Let them do their thing.
I'm just looking for ladybug nymph is really what I was looking at. Yeah.
You want to say, oh yeah, well, I'll find you one today.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I'll look at it and just go, oh, if there's nothing on there, I'll just...
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's the wasps and the signs of the wasps and...
The little eggs and stuff that you were talking about before.
Yeah.
The little fly.
Yeah, I've got a plant out the back with aphids, so I can definitely show you some stuff.
I should show you a photo, but I can't because my phone's recording.
Yeah, that's okay.
I had this moment, damn, I knew I was going to bring this up at some point. We did a retirement village many years ago.
Yeah.
And it's the worst white wax scale I've ever seen in my life. And I'll put the photo up in the video and I'll show you later. But what we did is, just shut your ears for a little bit, okay?
No, you're right.
I'll try and describe it for you. We cut back the hedge so there's no leaves on it. And there was two hedges that were like this in this facility, where there was almost no bare wood. Right? It was an absolute infestation. Now we used white oil. Now you cut off all the leaves, there's nothing on there anyway, right? That gives you access to the, we sprayed it and we're like, let's just see what happens, because you're gonna have to, the only other option is you just pull out this hedge and you just replant it again, you know? That was successful, we got on top of it, fine. When you have a situation like that, I'm assuming you would just pull it out, but a lot of people go, what would I do? You would leave it.
Absolutely.
But it's been left for years and nothing's been happening. So.
But it's not dead. So is something actually happening?
What do you mean by that?
Is something actually happening in there that you can't actually see? Just because they are predators, it doesn't mean that they're going to wipe them all out in one go. It might take time, it might take years, it might take other predators as well. It might be a joint effort, but is it dead? I've got some kind of scale on that Melaleuca over there. It's been there for a year. It's not dead. It's
we'll spray it.
We'll still, yeah, spray it with love.
You'll grab that knife that's over there before I even have a chance.
But no, a lot of the time I leave things because I want to see what happens.
Right.
I'm curious into see, like, will it kill it, or should I interfere?
Yeah, there's a certain level where you're feeling like, this is what I'm trying to get at. Where is the level where you go, I'm going to take some
What's my tolerance?
Some sort of action here. And I know that for you, like, the line in the sand is you don't really want to apply chemicals at all.
And I won't.
But somebody might go, I'm going to prune off those branches, or I'm going to, whatever, you know, buy some bugs, or just pull, with scale, you can just pull them off yourself.
There are some things that, okay, Mediterranean fruit fly. Right. That can get fucked. Like, that's not welcome in my yard.
Yeah.
And so obviously then I do take the fruit off, put it in a bag. Yes. I don't want that, because that just goes rife. And where I am, a lot of us grow food and whatever. It's really hard to control.
You have one person who's got a lemon tree or an orange, they don't
and it's
care
all
about,
of us.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of us here that do grow food, and so it depends what it is and its impact on, you know, my environment, its environment. Does it have any predators? Does it have potential to, like, spread? Is it notifiable by Department of Primary Industries? Like, there's lots of different kind of factors that way.
Like the what's that, borer?
Yeah, like that Polyphagus shot-hole borer. Obviously, like, obviously, if that was in my yard, I would have to notify that. And if they said I had to spray something, well, so be it. Like, I understand that part. Not that there is a spray for it, but if that was...
No, yeah, but they're cutting down massive trees.
But that's what I mean. Like,
trees.
I do have... That's my tolerance.
There's a line, yeah.
If the law says I have to, then I will.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that aphids are, by law, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, if there's some
get the comforter
kind of thing like that, it'd break your heart. Well, my heart anyway. But, yeah, that's my tolerance.
No, I understand. So what's, is there anything that you put down at all, even if you, so obviously compost, right?
Yeah.
So what about, say, seaweed products?
Yeah, I'm
humic
okay with
acid, fulvic acid,
compost and poo.
Yep.
Spice it up with the poos, mix it up, cow, sheep, chicken. That's most of it. Probably all of it, really.
I reckon this is a good time. I'm going to grab the camera.
Yeah.
And you show me around, and I'm going to do my best to dance. Right? I'll put that video in somewhere, right? But I want to see the flowers, the bugs. They've really come out since I've...
Yeah. Sun's out.
And yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's go for a wander.
Give us a tour.
Show you some stuff.